FrontierNAV is one of the major systems in Xenoblade X for obtaining Miranium, money, and important resources. At first glance, the system can be a bit overwhelming and may be something you kind of put to the side, but let me tell you, you really do not want to neglect this feature. Being lazy can be very detrimental to your progress, and this is not a super difficult system to optimize and have running in the background as you are playing. It can be a bit tedious, but the rewards can be very worth it, especially if you plan to do late game and multiplayer content like the Nemesis fights, or if you just want a really powerful skill eventually. In this video, I want to talk about FrontierNAV, give an explanation of its function, show my own setup for FrontierNAV that requires not even doing that much of the map outside of a few important priority quests that I will talk about, and talk about where to find some of the most useful probes in the game. This was one of the most requested guides, and while it's not normally my forte since it isn't really combat related, I do hope that it helps. And if you enjoy guide content like this on Xenoblade X and would love to see more, please do be sure to subscribe to the channel as it does help me out so much. I'm getting fairly close to 100,000 subscribers and would really love to hit that milestone soon. Let's get into it. For the most basic level explanation of FrontierNAV, it is essentially a way to passively gain resources over time as you play the game. Every 30 minutes of actively playing, you will gain more resources, more Miranium, more revenue, and more of the extra resources that the game provides. This means you can't just AFK and get the resources, you have to actually be moving around. Back in the Wii U days, some people would tape their control stick to move around as they were sleeping overnight, and that is technically an option, but a lot of times you'll end up capping out on Miranium if you do that. But regardless, there are ways that you can increase your FrontierNAV revenue, and mainly playing the game while you are just leaving it running in the background is going to be the main way to do that. Every time you discover an FN site on the map, you can place a basic data probe at that location and it will begin to gather these resources for you. Having more FN sites unlocked on the map means you can gain more and more resources. In fact, after you beat Chapter 6 of the main story and unlock your skill, it may not be a bad idea to go and grab as many FN sites as you can around the map since you can have better movement. And after Chapter 9, when you get the flight module, it's probably a good idea to go and get all of the remaining FN sites since you can access all of them at that point. Having all the sites available means you can get the most resources the most efficiently. There are three types of resources you can gain from this system. The first is Miranium. Miranium is one of the most used resources in the game, and having a lot early on can allow you to have an easier time leveling up weapons manufacturers, which will unlock new gear and increase the quality of all gear by adding extra traits to basically everything sold in the shop while also allowing you to find better items in the field. Miranium is also used to open up additional augment slots on gear, and is used to refuel skulls and in crafting. All around it is a pretty useful resource to get a lot of passively, and if you are going through it very quickly, there do exist support missions in the barracks which are usually fairly quick and easy to do depending on level, which can give you up to 30,000 Miranium in one go, so it can still be fairly renewable. The second is revenue, obviously just the money that you have. Now, money isn't super difficult to obtain in this game, but having a lot still allows you to buy more gear and skulls for both yourself and party members. You might as well take advantage of this. The final resource is fittingly just called Precious Resources. There are 15 of these total, and if you hover over each FN site you have unlocked on the map, you can see a list of precious resources that can be mined from that drop, the mineable resources. These resources are used mainly in crafting, and as I mentioned in my guide yesterday, the resource that is the most important in use is the Bongelium resource in Caldros. If you have plans to engage with the late game and post-game content, you absolutely want to set up your FrontierNAV to farm a lot of this resource, and the earlier you can get the setup going, the better. I made it a priority on my map personally over maximizing storage and Miranium. Speaking of which, the other stat you see on the map is just your storage limit, which tells you how much Miranium you can have on hand at any given time. As a general tip, you're going to want probably at least double the storage of your maximum Miranium mining total just to make sure you're making the best use of Miranium and not wasting it as it comes in. If you plan to do later game and post-game content, you probably also want at least 100,000 storage limit so you can buy one of the most generally useful post-game skills, the Ares 90. We'll talk more about that in the gear farming video, most likely tomorrow though. Back to FrontierNAV, let's talk about the probes feature. Essentially, by hovering over an FN site that you have unlocked, you are able to place a probe at that location. Probes can increase the effectiveness of your mining, increase your revenue, and give more storage capacity, or they can boost or duplicate these types of probes. You also have the fuel recovery and combat support types of probes, but these are less important for just gaining the resources. Each FN site has a general effectiveness rating for production, revenue, and combat support from S through F, ranking where if you were to place a probe of that specific type on a higher rating for that FN site, you will get more benefit out of it. Mining probes will increase production and go all the way to level 10. The highest levels, which are level 9 and 10, will give you even more production, and placing them on places with precious resources will net more resources. On my own setup, I made sure to have all of my strongest mining probes on locations with Bongelium, as I mentioned earlier. Research probes will boost revenue, and typically you can get a higher bonus if you place them on locations with unexplored territories that you have discovered if you want to maximize your income. Storage probes will increase storage capacity by 3,000 per probe placed. Booster probes will increase the effectiveness of all probes placed next to it, and duplicator probes will duplicate the functions of all probes placed next to it. These last two are very important for getting the most out of storage and mining alike. You will see that probes are linked together on the map. If you place probes next to each other and these links of the same type and value, you can get an effectiveness bonus to all of these probes. A 30% bonus for a link of 3, a 50% bonus for a link of 5, and an 80% bonus for a link of 8 or more. This can be very valuable to take advantage of also, especially for storage probes, since you get a lot more storage from linking them together like this. Now, there exist some setups online you can obviously look at for how to set up FrontierNAV most efficiently, but oftentimes you won't have all of the required probes, especially as you're making your way through the game, to make those setups. And if you're like me and rush through the game to see the epilogue, you're probably also missing a lot of the probes. Outside of probes obtained while doing the story and basic on-the-way tasks, I've only really gone out of my way for duplicator probes, some booster probes, and the mining level 10 probes to put in Cauldros. That said, I'm still able to have a pretty good storage limit Miranium farm going while still prioritizing Bongelium. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. There actually exists a tool that can optimize your probes for you based on exactly what probes you currently have and what FN sites you have unlocked. It is called Xenoprobes. It is the first GitHub link when you Google search Xenoprobes, but I will also put the link in the description. Essentially, all you do for this program is run the Xeno GUI exe, set your priorities, and then edit your inventory and sites you currently have unlocked. The one negative to this program is it doesn't optimize for resources the best, so I recommend making a Cauldro setup similar to the one I have, then using your remaining probes for the other 4 regions by demarking Cauldros and subtracting the amount of probes used there if you want to use the program. It is a useful tool, and to be honest, I used it myself to make my setup. If you want to use my setup, you absolutely can. Feel free to pause at all of the locations that I currently have, but there's a high chance you can probably make something better if you have more probes than me, because I still have some basic probes placed because I just straight up ran out of the other types of probes. Regardless, though, this is, like I said earlier, kind of a basic setup if you've just done the bare minimum and gotten, like, duplicator probes, a lot of storage probes, and just gotten all the level 5 mining probes, which I'll show how to get near the end of the video. So, one thing I do recommend greatly is doing all of the Kirsty Professional quests. Not only because they unlock some decent probes in and of themselves, but they also are the gatekeeper for unlocking some other additional quests that can be very, very useful to you. The quest called the Root of All Evil and Entrepreneurial Spirit, given to you by Tobias, are extremely useful quests if you're able to complete, I believe, the 4th Kirsty quest, the Silvalum Trailblazing one. I believe it unlocks both of these. If you complete the first one, you should be able to unlock the second one. You might need a story progress. You might need to complete Chapter 11 before you can do both of them. But regardless, you'll be able to find Tobias outside your Blade Barracks, and you just need to kind of set up your FrontierNAV to get 70,000 credits, which shouldn't be too hard to do since research probes are pretty readily available just from playing through the game normally and just kind of stopping for some basic treasure that you see. And like I said, you've probably done more than me throughout the map, so you'll probably easily have more probes than me. And I still honestly need to go through all the quests and make sure I get through all of those as well, outside of just the affinity missions that I've been doing. So, the second Tobias quest, I believe, is somewhere in the Industrial District. It's kind of in the middle. And this is going to require you to kill a Tyrant. And once again, these both give duplicator probes, which are 2 of the most useful probes in the entire game. These both give duplicator probes. There's one other duplicator probe, well, 2 others. One you get after completing Chapter 5 guaranteed, and one in the Scabland Fortress near FN Site 307. So that is something that you can keep in mind as well. Regardless, though, I absolutely recommend hunting these down. I recommend hunting down as many storage probes as you can. I believe I have about 17 right now, and you can definitely even get more than that. And finding the booster probes can be useful as well. I think I found the most important booster probes. I only have like 3 of them total. That's really all I needed to have a decent setup myself, but if you want to have more FrontierNAV effectiveness, definitely find the booster probes also, right? But regardless, once you complete Tobias's quest line, you will get a duplicator probe as a reward for both of his quests, and the Kirsty quest line with the Probe Professional will allow you to get some decent probes as well from completing those. So I highly, highly recommend that you do those, because it'll just allow you to get more resources very, very easily. So the final thing that I recommend is just going to be finding all of the level 10 mining probes, so you can place them on the Bongelium spots for the most part. And also, so you can find 5 to link them together if you need to as well, just in the Cauldros region to get the 50% bonus effect out of them as well. So either level 9 or level 10 mining probe should probably go on all the Bongelium spots if you have any ambitions for the post-game. If you don't care that much or you're going to play through the game really, really slowly, then it does not matter as much. You'll still probably build up that Bongelian over time. So the first G10 mining probe comes from completing the Sylvalum Collectopedia, as you probably just saw on the screen. Now, that might be a little bit more difficult, so the second can come from the southeast of the 304 segment in Oblivia. It is on this northwest edge of a cliff, and it is not very difficult to find. I do not know if it requires completing off the record first for mechanical to upgrade that field skill, since I already had that upgrade before I searched for these G10 mining probes. But regardless, that is an option available to you if you need to complete that in order to find these G10 mining probes. And once again, I just recommend picking these up so you'll have an easier time farming the resources in Cauldros if you plan on having any post-game aspirations. Now, the third is in the Infernal Ledges in Cauldros. If you do some parkour across all of the really annoying rock structures to jump across, since the jump has really weird momentum, there is a treasure at the end of this cave which drops both a scale weapon and the another G10 mining probe. So that is in the Infernal Ledges in Cauldros, a cave near FN Site 503. Southwest of it, I believe. And then finally, near FN Site 415 in Sylvalum, northwest of this FN Site, there is going to be a higher level where there is a base and a bunch of Puges. So there will be a patrol helicopter here, and if you do the field action there, you'll once again get another mining probe G10, and that is the last major mining probe G10 that you can find just from doing some basic things. I think that is going to cover it for the FrontierNAV guide. I don't really have anything else to say about this. Once again, I hope this guide was useful to you and you learned something and you are able to set up FrontierNAV to farm those resources, farm that Miranium as efficiently as possible based on your current setup. Once again, there is a GitHub link in my description for the Xeno probes if you want to just kind of have a program to optimize it for you, or if you want to try to figure it out yourself, that is an option. Just make sure to make good use of your duplicator probes, and make sure to take advantage of those storage links if you can. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate all the support. If you did like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends who are new to the game, and all of that good stuff, as you already know. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you back here soon, hopefully.